Welcome to the Quick Talk Podcast with Joshua Latimer, where we discuss business, life, family, faith, struggle, fire, pain, and ultimately winning.
It's time to take massive action. Look, I can't work harder on your life or business than you do. It's ultimately all on you.
You know, God created all the food the birds would ever need, but he doesn't put it in their nest. You've got to go get it.
10 out of 10 people die. So how about doing something today that actually matters while you still can? Hey, my friends, welcome to the Quick Talk Podcast. Hope you guys are getting ready for an awesome weekend. I do not have a lot of time today to record a podcast, but I got a sweet little juicy gold nugget for you to encourage you. And, well, maybe not encourage you, but to give you some focused clarity. I don't know how to phrase it. But I was talking to one of my coaches that helps me, and I was on a call, and I told her name's Mandy, and she worked for Tony Robbins for 20 years, and she's like a genius. She gets inside my head. It's amazing. But anyway, she told me, I said, I just feel really overwhelmed by this, that, and the other. And she said, Josh, hold on, stop. She said, there's no such thing as overwhelm. I think what you mean to say is that you have fear. And I was like, whoa, right? So when I was talking about Ping June the last few days, I talked about how people have two types of fears, fear of loss or fear of outcome. And I won't get into that again, but go back and listen to that. So if you're feeling overwhelmed or you like to use the word overwhelmed, it's really not overwhelm. What that word represents is a feeling inside of our brain and our heart and our emotions that we have no idea what to do next or in what order to do it, or we have massive fear of the outcome. And there's another book that I just pulled back off my bookshelf called Steal the Show, and it's by Michael Port. And I bought this book before I gave my first keynote presentation several years ago. And I was just kind of going through, and it's full of notes, right? So I might do a podcast on this because it's really, really, really cool. And he talks about the structure and the mindset and all this stuff of speaking so you can move people. And it was really good, and I haven't touched it since then. But there's an underlined sentence in here that says, when you feel overwhelmed, it's not necessarily a function of having too much to do, but rather not knowing what to do next. So if that's you, then we need to get some clarity and do a little bit of reverse engineering to identify your big domino. It also helps a ton if you will actually quantify what the thing that's freaking you out is. So if you feel overwhelmed, it's not because you have too much to do, it's because you don't know what to do next. You don't know what order to do it in, or you have fear of loss or fear of outcome. So figure out what it is, write it down, stare it in the face. I tell my kids to do this. It's like when they're freaking out or they overreact to something, you try to slow down, push pause. It's like, okay, what are we talking about here? What is the real elephant in the room? What is it? Let's write a sentence or let's write a word to define what it is that's making us feel this way. And oftentimes it's just a little tiny thing. That's why the other day I said, me and my wife we have this ongoing phrase in the Latimer house called, it isn't Mount Everest, right? Even though it feels like Mount Everest, it's not. So if you write it down, okay, I need to do this, and it's stressing me out. Then you take those things and you ask, why do I feel fear or stress or overwhelm for those things? Well, it's because, almost always, because you don't know where to start or in what order to do the steps. Or secondarily, it could be that you're just terrified that after you do the steps, something bad will happen or something really good will happen. The last couple points here on this one page in Steal the Show by Michael Port is that your performance can save the world. And, when you run a team meeting with your employees, even when you give a motivational speech to your spouse to get them back on board with the vision for the company, that's a performance. And if you think about it, everything all of us do every day is a performance. It doesn't mean it's fake. It just means it's a performance. And either you show up prepared for your performance every day, or you don't. You show up totally ill-equipped and you're reactionary and you do a horrible performance, right? You get booed off the stage if it was on a stage. But when you're talking to customers, when you're doing sales, when you're on the phone, everything is a performance. And that's kind of a mind-boggling thing, right? That's probably why I super circled, highlighted, blocked this sentence off. I thought that was really awesome. And then another huge mini gold nugget is the fact that the expert is often perceived as an expert simply because his information is better organized. And in a way, I think that's why I've had so much success with the Quick Talk podcast is a lot of the podcast episodes, I try to take what can feel like a complex idea or this massive blob of overwhelming steps, and I try to to break it down to these little bitty nuggets, these little bite-sized things, because it really is one thing at a time that you have to do. Or I'll develop concepts like the 5 stages of home service business growth, or a million different proprietary phrases and words. And so that's really helpful to people. So when you're actually selling to your customers, or you're trying to train your team or anything, and you're giving a performance, remember that you don't have to be an expert by having secret information that no one else has. Find a way to articulate that information and organize the information in a new way, because people respond to that big time. Give somebody a framework. Create the 3-step process to do the whatever it is that you do. You're already doing it. You just need to define it and verbalize it and call it something. I got to tell you, there's massive power in what's called proprietary language. So if you're a lawn mowing company or you're a contractor and you always do a kind of an inspection before you get started, or a job site prep inspection, I don't know. It doesn't matter. Look at what you're already doing and name it something. Call it something and organize it into steps that you can present as part of your performance. I think that's really, really huge. And if you feel overwhelmed, it's really just fear. Don't kid yourself. And you don't have to be radically different to make a difference. You just have to focus on the minutia, the little itty bitty things, and get intentional. That's it. Sorry I don't have time to go super deep, but I tried to pack in some really, really cool stuff. I will be doing podcasts this weekend, so I will see you guys then. I appreciate you all. I love you all. And before I let you go, just before I hit record on this, I got notified by my assistant that we only have 10 spots left for the Automate, Grow, Sell experience. It's a real number. It's not fake. I'm not creating fake scarcity, okay? There's probably a chance some of the people that put a deposit down already might have something happen, or they might back out, because that happened last year. Sometimes that happens. But when we get the next 10 people in, that's it. You're going to miss the opportunity. And if you need help, if you have questions, email Jessica@sendjim.com. and she will help you. She's very, very sweet and nice and kind, and we'll do everything we can, if you're a good fit, to try to accommodate you. But the event's not for everybody, so don't hyperventilate and panic if you're not ready for it, or if you're just not sure, if you don't have the money. If you can't buy groceries, don't come to the event. It's okay. You still got the podcast. I'm still your best friend. It's all good. High five, hug, fist bump. It's all good. But if you got that little thing in the back of your mind saying, get off the fence, you weenie, put your deposit down, go get in a room with like-minded people and change your life and your business. If that's going on in your head, then by all means, click the link in the show notes and put down your $1,000 deposit and meet us in October. Come to my home in October. Meet Brandon Vaughn. Meet all the other mentors we're going to have. It's going to be freaking amazing. Take care. God bless. Hey, thanks for hanging out, friends. And from all of us here at the Quick Talk podcast team, we hope you loved today's show. We hope that you were inspired to become a doer and not just a listener. Apply what you've heard today in your own business and watch things change for the better. Lastly, remember that all the money in the world can't save your soul. Seek first the kingdom of God, my friends. We'll see you next time.
For more information about the Quick Talk podcast or Joshua's other businesses, visit our website, quicktalkpodcast.com. Have a blessed day.